Okay, our next example, we're going to calculate a t-standard error confidence interval again, this time on a single proportion. So this example is based on data from a survey done in 2002. And the survey was asking US adults, American adults, who they thought was the greatest rock star of all time. And coming out in the lead by quite a long way was Elvis Presley. So we can see the results in that top right corner. Elvis Presley got 38% of the results, and the next best, Jimi Hendrix, only had 4%. So he really is coming out in the lead. So our population is all US adults, and they've taken a random sample of 1,073 for the sample. Our parameter of interest is the population proportion, so the proportion of all US adults that think Elvis Presley is the greatest rock star of all time. So our sample estimate, p hat, is 38%. And I've turned it here into a decimal, 0.38, and that's because we're going to want it as a decimal to do our calculations. So we're going to jump straight into step one. So remember, we're using that top formula there, and going into our applications, we're here. And notice that the degrees of freedom is infinity. So unlike before, when it was n-1, it changed depending on the sample size. Here our degrees of freedom is infinity. So it's not changing regardless of our sample size. Keep that in the back of your mind, and we're going to come back and address it at the end of this example. Okay, so here's our parameter, P without the hat, proportion of the population who thought Elvis was the greatest rock star of all time, and our estimate, just for the sample there, p hat 0.38 or 38%. Okay, here's our formula. So replacing the word estimate there with the symbol p hat. Jump over into the T procedures tool to get the rest of our things, and here's one I prepared earlier. So 0.38 is our p hat, our sample size, and here we get our standard error and our T multiplier. You'll notice we're leaving the confidence level as 95% every time, because 95% is a pretty standard confidence level for confidence intervals. We are going to look at what happens when we change that in one of the other recordings. Okay, so there's our standard error and our T multiplier. So because degrees of freedom isn't changing when the sample size changes, our T multiplier, when we deal with proportions, is always going to be 1.96 for a 95% confidence interval. So you're going to get quite familiar with that 1.96 number. You might also notice that the standard error is quite small, 0.0148. It looks really small, smaller than what we had previously. And there's two reasons for this. One is that our sample size is really big, but the other main reason for this is that the number that we're dealing with, our estimate, because we've turned it into a decimal, it's quite small as well. So that's 38%. This is actually 1.5 or 1.48%. So it's not as small as it looks, it's just because we're working in decimals. Would be a good idea here to pause the video and have a go at step 6 for yourself. So using the formula, plug the numbers in, and have a go at calculating the confidence interval yourself. So pause the video here and have a go. Okay, so here's what I got. So we want to do this part of the calculation first. Remember, the T multiplier really wants to get multiplied, so do the multiplication first. And that gets us 0.03 or 3%, which is our margin of error. Add it on, subtract it off, and we get our confidence interval, 35% up to 41%. Interpreting. So remembering all the bits that we need in our interpretation. And I do want to just point out here, so I'm showing the answers as they're written in the book, but there's not just one perfect way to write the interpretation of a confidence interval. We could mix this up a little bit and use slightly different words, and every person will use slightly different language. It just needs to have those three key things in it. The fuzzy language, which in this case is with 95% confidence. The parameter, the proportion of US adults that thought Elvis was the greatest rock and roll star of all time, quite a long one, so that's the parameter, and the interval. As long as it's got those three things in it, it's a good interpretation of the confidence interval. The little bits and pieces of language are not as important. And remember, we can have an alternative interpretation because we can use that margin of error as well, and either of those are perfectly acceptable. In terms of making things more understandable for humans, the first interpretation tends to be a bit easier. For the second one, you're requiring that people who are reading that have an understanding of what margin of error is. So depending on your audience, you want to be a bit more careful. You can also see I've given the proportions as decimals and percentages. You would never have to do that, just pick one. And generally, while you want decimals for your calculations, when you're writing interpretations, you're writing sentences for people to read, percentages are better there. They're a bit more human-friendly. So I want to just talk a little bit about how, remember that degrees of freedom is infinity when we're working with proportions. So I said our T multiplier for a 95% confidence interval is always going to be 1.96. Well, this kind of goes in the face of everything that we did a few videos ago, where we started off with a 2 standard error confidence interval, and we're like, oh yeah, this works okay, and then we looked at what happened when we had smaller samples, and we're like, oh, it doesn't actually work that well. It's not working 95% of the time. The success rate is getting really rubbish. So we wanted a multiplier that wasn't just 2, it wasn't fixed, but it was flexible depending on sample size. And now we've gone and got rid of that flexibility for proportions. So that's a bummer, but what happens is we've got this table which is non-examinable. You don't have to memorize any of these numbers, and it is in your blue pages. But it's good to have an idea of what this is for. So what this table says is that if you have a proportion down this end of the table, 50-50, you don't need to have that big of a sample size. You can go ahead and create your confidence interval and everything works fine. If, however, you're up this end and you've got a really small or a really, really big percentage or proportion, then you need a really big sample size for it to work. So for this to make sense, you want to think about an example. So let's say we have a proportion of 5% or 0.05. That would be 1 out of 20 people. So if you only have a sample size of 20, that 5%, that proportion that you're getting all excited about and creating a confidence interval for, that's just based on one person. So if that one person went the other way, your proportions changed quite a lot. Whereas if you're down this end and you've got only a sample of 20, well, that's 10 people. So if one person changes, the proportion obviously will change a little bit, but it's still somewhere around the middle. So it's not such a drama. So instead of having the flexibility in the T multiplier to make sure that our 95% confidence interval is always 95% successful, we just have a little check that we have to do. So we have to check that our sample size is big enough. So for us, we had a proportion of 0.38, so we're sitting somewhere around here in that table. Our sample size was really massive. It was like 1,073 or something. So much bigger than 13, much bigger than 23, so we're absolutely fine. So it's just a little check that goes in there.